Hello Legionnaires, this is Max Leal from Legion of Myth, and today we are going to dive into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness Redux Edition. This is the first video in a series of videos where I plan to cover individual character creation, this video, team character creation, the next video, and combat, future videos down the line. Throughout the series, we're only using the rules presented in the TMNT and Other Strangeness Redux game. If you're a Palladium fan and you prefer to incorporate rules, skills, and items from other books, by all means do that. I encourage you to do that. However, for the purposes of this video series, I am sticking to the rules as written in the TMNT and Other Strangeness Redux Edition book. And now we come to our first caveat. It is possible you may see me divert from what appears to be the rules as written in this book. After some discussion with Sean Robertson of Palladium Books, I've decided to, in these videos, test some proposed errata that I hope, will be implemented. If I'm wrong, well, I guess I'll have to make more videos in the future. There's a very small chance of this happening. They're very minor areas, so it may not even happen at all. But in case it does happen, I'll be open and clear about what the book currently says versus what the proposed errata happens to be. Now, with that out of the way, let's start by taking a look at the book and finding out how to create a character here. The first step in creating a character is to roll up the 8 attributes: intelligence quotient, mental endurance, mental affinity, physical strength, physical prowess, physical endurance, physical beauty, and speed. How you do that is you roll 3d6. So I have 3 six-sided dice here. There you go. Those are 3 six-sided dice. They're the nice cubes that you can find all over the place. We're going to roll these 3 dice 8 times to come up with our attribute values. If the attribute is exceptional, that means a 16, a 17, or an 18. So if I roll all 3 of these and I get a 16, a 17, or an 18, you add an additional, a 4th six-sided die for that attribute, just for that attribute. And if that happens, I will show you that as an example. Now, a question you might ask is, do I have to roll the attributes in order, or can I place them as I see fit? Well, one of the things you're going to learn about Palladium games is that Palladium games are meant to be cinematic, not simulationist. The rule system is a framework, not a law book. So you'll find there's no hard and fast rule about how you are supposed to place your roles, if they have to be in order or placed as you so choose. Talk to your game master. Your game master will make that determination. I prefer the system where I let the players roll the dice and then place them how they want. So with that in mind, that is how I'm going to do this here. Roll the first one. All right, my first roll is a 14. So I'm just going to jot down 14. I guess I could do it here. This doesn't mean this is what my IQ is going to be, but 14. In fact, let's just leave that there. I'm going to speed through the rest of these. I hope you know how to roll dice. and I will put these down, and then we'll talk about the next steps. Okay, I now have my 8 attributes. You'll notice that I move the 14 down to physical strength right here. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So I did place them in the order that I want. But notice we have an exceptional attribute. One of those on this character is a 16, a 17, or an 18. I've ended up putting that in IQ, so I'm a smarty pants. And so now we get to roll an extra d6 and add it to that. So let's do that now. And I got a 5. So that brings our intelligence up to 22. So I am really smart. Because, as Palladium says here, let's look over each one of these. Let's just start with intelligence and look over what that means for the game. Indicates the intelligence of the character. The exact IQ is equal to the IQ attribute multiplied times 10. Characters with an IQ of 16 or better will receive a one-time bonus added to all the character's skill percentiles. Now, if you're brand new to Palladium, I'm sure that English makes common sense, but we will discuss a little bit more about that later when we get into skills. But going back to here, I have a 22. That means my IQ is 220. My IQ is 20. Well, my character's IQ is 220. And I will get a percentage to my skills. I'm not going to fill any of this in right now because many of these attributes are going to change through the course of character creation. It could be changed by the animal type. It could be changed by the skills we take. So I'm not going to fill in anything else. We're just going to modify this as time goes on until there are no more changes. Then we'll finish the rest. But as you can see with the IQ, it's a % bonus to all skills. Okay. So let's go back to here. The next one is ME, Mental Endurance. Measures the mental and emotional stress the character can withstand. Characters must have a minimum ME of 12 to become psionic. That's something to consider. Did I do that? Oh no, we cannot get psionic powers. Oh well. So, but 10 is still an average score. Go back here. Mental Affinity. Measures the character's charisma. Those with an MA of 16 or higher have a chance to naturally invoke trust or intimidation in others. Right? Physical Strength measures the raw power of a character. And I'm not going to read the math here, but depending on what your strength is, what's mine? Oops, scrolling the wrong area here. Mine is a 14, so not exceptional, but pretty good. So a character can lift 30 times PS. I just missed the 20 times. Oh well, but you know, we can take some skills later to fix it. Physical Prowess. The character's dexterity and agility. A PP of 16 or higher grants bonuses to strike, parry, and dodge. Many players, this is where they put their highest attribute. And I can understand that, especially if your game is ninja-oriented or combat-oriented. This is a good place to do it because it is going to affect how well you can hit other people and, to some degree, help you react and not be hit by other people. We have Physical Endurance, the character's stamina and durability, including the amount of physical punishment he can take, and is resistant to fatigue and disease. And this is going to go into how long you can carry stuff, how long you can swim. But more importantly, does it say it here? A character... Nope. Well, it does say you get a bonus. If you have a 16 or higher, you get a bonus to toxins and whatnot. You'll see that right here. Bonus to... Uh-oh. Not do that. Bonus to save versus coma and bonus to save versus toxin. What it doesn't tell you there is that is also the baseline for the number of hit points you have. Hit points determine how long you're going to live. So if your hit points go to 0, you die. So the more your physical endurance, the more hit points you have. And we will talk about that actually at the end of here in section 1. Physical Beauty measures the character's physical attractiveness. Those with a physical beauty of 16 or higher have a chance to naturally charm and impress others. I don't think that's me. Nope. And then finally, Speed. The character's movement speed times 5 is the number of yards he can run in one combat round, and times 20 in 1 minute. And you'll see that on the character sheet as well. There's a new thing in the Redux edition called Move Action, and we will look at that in just a moment. So if you have a bonus of 16 or higher, oh yeah, those are what your bonuses would be. You may be wondering why I already mentioned this, but you may be wondering why I didn't complete the rest of the attribute information in the character sheet. This is because future roles and choices such as animal type and skills, highly probable that those numbers are going to change, and I don't want to go in and change these numbers constantly. We'll go in and figure out how much I can lift and carry and how far I can move after we have all of these. Now, I beg of you, I beseech you, I implore you, do not worry about low attribute scores. There is no difference, well, very little difference between a 3 and a 15. A couple of these do have configuration here, like your carry weight will change based on your strength. We saw that. Your hit points can change based on your physical endurance, and we'll see that at the end of this segment. And then your speed will also determine how fast you are individually. But the amount of damage you do, if that's what you're worried about with strength, doesn't matter if it's a 3 or a 15. It's the same. IQ between 3 and 15, all the same. ME, MA, physical prowess, physical beauty, all the same. There is no difference between a 3 and a 15 other than the fluff that you give the character. So, mechanically speaking, I want to be very clear, they're the same. So don't worry if you got a couple of 6s in there. And, as I already mentioned, In step 5, we'll see that there are many skills that you can take that will increase your physical attributes. There are none in this book that will let you raise your mental skills, but there are plenty that will let you raise your physical skills. All right, what is our next step? We have our 8 attributes. What is the next step here according to the book? According to the book, we need to figure out what our hit points are. Now, it has a little blurb there about hit points and structural damage capacity. We're not going to talk about SDC, I think, until step 4. But think of SDC as an overlying layer in your hit points. SDC are bumps and bruises. Hit points are like, okay, this could kill me. So you take damage off the SDC first, then off the hit point. But we'll get into SDC when that time comes during step 4, I think it is. So let's determine our hit points. How many hit points do we get? Well, you roll a 6-sided die and add the result to the character's physical endurance. So one 6-sider, that's one of these, and we add it to our physical endurance, which starts as a 10. So let's roll here. Of course, I get a 1. All right, so I have 11 hit points. Woo! Because I rolled a 1. Write that down. Oh, got another little notepad that I'm writing on. Okay. That will help me in case I make any mistakes on here. That will help me keep lined up. All right. So we did that. Our physical endurance 10. To that number, we add the roll of 1 for a hit point total of 11. And I already talked about SDC a little bit here. So that's really it. That gets us started. All we know now are the core characteristics of our character. Extremely intelligent, so Mr. Smarty Pants here. Average mental affinity and mental endurance. Above average strength, nothing exceptional, but above average, that's good. Average physical prowess, physical endurance, physical beauty, and just a touch below average speed. He's a little slow. You know, he's a nerdy guy, right? He's got that 22 IQ, and he's got that 8 speed. All right. So that's it for section 1. Next, we're going to move into part 2, which we're going to determine our animal type. All right, now depending on the style of game or campaign that your game master runs, there may be limitations to the type of animal you can be. I've been at tables where game masters wouldn't allow flying characters. So even if you took a bird, you weren't going to get flying because the way the tone of the campaign was going. So talk to your game master to see if there are any limitations to characters. In the first edition game, a lot of people banned the weasel. It's been corrected for this version, but I can understand why they did that. So check with your game master to determine what kind of animal or how he wants you to go about creating the animal. Maybe you can just pick. Some game masters allow you to just pick. Me, I want you to roll. We first start off by rolling the animal category. So and this will be percentile dice. If you don't know what percentile dice are, get them out here. Where's my other one? That's an 8. Where's my other 10? Oh, there it is. My style of percentile dice have the 10s on one. You can see it says 70 there or something. On my side it says 20, but you can see that. And then here are the 1s. You need more instruction on how to roll dice after that, I'm sure there's another video for it. But there's a percentile dice, and let's roll. So I got myself a 64. So what's 64? Wild animals table. Okay. 41 to 65 is wild animals. So let's scroll down to our wild animals. Zoom out a little bit here. And what do we have here? Urban, rural. Oh, there's wild animals right there. And it even has the number here. I could have just been right here. So we got... Can I do this? Yes. So those are my options. All right. Ooh, a 100. You have to roll odd to get a mole. The backyard cats. One of them just got one. Doesn't bode well for me. All right. Let's see if we get here. Got a 97. Okay. Elk. All right. So let me write that down on the character sheet. I'm going to write this in 2 spots, and I'll show you why. It's just the way I do my character sheets. There are official character sheets. They're actually pretty well done. Normally, I don't like official character sheets from games. They're never big enough or give enough room to do what you need to do. Ow. But it's actually pretty well done. I still have my own because that's just how I do things. So the animal we have is elk. And I'm glad we're on this page because moving into that next. So I'm not going to look at the elk. I'm not going to show it to you right now because honestly, it really doesn't matter at this point. We can get an idea of what it is, what it does, whatever, but that doesn't matter. I think at this point that we should just jump into step 3 and then pick up the elk on step 4 when it's needed, and then we're definitely going to have to take a look at it and determine what's going on there. So that's all there was for step 2, is determining our animal. So next we are going to talk about our character's origin. All right, so here we are at step 3, origins. The next step is to determine the reason for the animal's change or mutation. Roll percentile dice and consult the following table. Okay, we can do that. I got a 28. 1 to 14 is random mutation, 15 to 60, so 28 falls in there. Accidental encounter. Some strange stuff, radiation, energy, chemicals, biologicals, or other strangeness causes the animal to mutate. Okay, so let's go to here and put accidental encounter. Right. And then it says roll on the wild animal education table. Okie dokie. Down here, okay. Got a 67. 1 to 20, 41, 41 to 90. Adopted by a mentor who teaches and guides the mutant in some form of special training. Oh, this is the ninja roll. We actually just rolled up a Teenage Mutant Ninja elk. Okay. This is often ninjutsu, but any other combat training can be selected. These mutants learn to be philosophical about all creatures. Gratitude can be summed up as some are good, some are bad, and everyone deserves a chance to earn your trust. Gains either ninjutsu or martial arts or assassin. Of course, we're going to do ninjutsu. Come on, we're playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Elks. I mean turtles. So we're going to go with that. +3 ancient weapon proficiencies of choice. Professional skills, select 3 military espionage with no education bonus. Oh, that's odd. Plus acrobatics, climbing, and prowl. And these are required to be a ninja, and I'll show that later. It's just I know. So that's why this is the one that actually allows you to be a Ninja Turtle, because it gives you those skills. Amateur, select 10 at a bonus of... Whoa, you get a... Wait, but what? Select 10 at a bonus of 5%. Okay, so this is a little backward compared to normal. Normally, your education bonus comes from your professional skills. Your amateur skills don't normally get an education bonus, so that's interesting. All right. Equipment mutant has scavenged and handmade 3d6 times 100 in equipment. Okay, 3d6 times 100. Here. So 6. Okay, so $600. Woohoo! I'm rich. Okay, so I took a couple of moments here to update the character sheet. And so here we go. We have accidental encounter. Education, I just put the kind of the initial note in here. Adopted by a mentor, teaches and guides the mutant in some form of special training. We know that's ninjutsu. And then I started jotting down some of the skills. Where are we here? So I put ninjutsu here for combat abilities. Again, your character sheet may look different. This is just how I do mine. And then here are the skills. Now I broke down acrobatics, and we'll look at this more during step 5. But I know that acrobatics actually breaks down into these 2 other skills. So I put them there. Got climbing and prowl, and then we have 3 other skills. By the way, for those who know, no, I did not include anything from acrobatics in my attributes. We'll do that later during step 5. I just wanted to write them down since they were given at this point. We also have 10 of these over here. I'm not going to put down 1 through 10. I don't need to. I just want to space here. So like what I like to do is I like to put weapon proficiencies at the bottom. This is just a personal preference. So I put weapon proficiencies at the bottom, put my skills on top. So anyway, that's why I did it that way. So let's go back to here. Take a look at our book again. And okay, so we have our starting 8 attributes. We have our hit points, our cause of mutation, a little bit of character background. We know that somehow as an elk up there in Alaska land, that's my guess. It doesn't have to. It could be Montana, I suppose. It could be probably Scandinavia as well. I don't know. But we stumbled across some goo, you know, that Alaskan pipeline was dripping something a little different. I stepped in it. I don't know, maybe I licked it. So don't lick the frogs. And changes happen. There you go. And all of a sudden, I mutated into, well, what we're about to make here in step 4. So since we don't know what that is yet, we just know I'm an elk and I'm somehow going to mutate. Let's move on to step 4 and actually mutate the elk. All right, so here we are in step 4 where we mutate the elk. Now, I'm not going to read all this. All the rules here will tell you how to do it, but we're just going to do it. Instead of reading through this, we're going to do it. Know that biological energy points, or bio-E points, I always forget the E, I just call them bio points. That is what we are going to use to determine how many mutations we have and how to mutate the character. Nice simple system here. I love it. I've loved it since the 80s. And let's take a look at this. So we're an elk, right? Elk. Well, let's get to the animals. 35-ish, I think. Go. Canine, I think they're under deer. There they go. Deer, elk, moose. Okay. So what is an elk, first of all? For the one person out here who might not know what an elk is, let's read it. So this category includes deer, elk, and moose, and we'll talk about all this in just a moment. But the description. Deer are grazing animals whose primary defense against predators is speed. Well, not me. My speed was an 8. There are a large variety of deer with roughly the same characteristics. Elk, caribou, and reindeer, the second largest kind of deer, are very social animals found farther north, with their herds moving to the mountains in the summer and the valleys in the winter. Moose, the largest kind of deer, are huge grazing animals that can become dangerous during rutting season or when guarding their young, and can be found in forests, taiga, and tundra, but prefer to graze in the northern swamps, marshes, and wetlands of North America. All right, so we get a description of the animal. I don't think there's a drawing of a deer. No, because by the time somebody gets to draw one, it's already venison. So let's. So what do we have here? Well, we have got our size level. Now I'm only going to look at the elk. So ignore deer and ignore moose. Everything is going to be about the elk because that's what we are. Elk are size level 17. I will absolutely explain that in a moment, but do need to put that on the character sheet. Okay, size level, and the way I do it on mine right here is 17. Okay. Length, don't care about that. I do care about this medium. Build medium. And that will come, I think, at the end of, I'm pretty sure it's at the end of section 4 here. And then we go down and we find out that elk have 10 bio-E points. So we have 10 points to spend right now. Find out what that means in just a moment. We also get attribute bonuses. Okay. So now our physical strength, physical endurance are both increased by +2 and speed by +6. Hey, I might not be so slow anymore. Still slow for an elk, and even a mutant elk. So let's do that now. Let's go to the top. So physical strength, physical endurance, and speed. Physical strength becomes a 16. Guess what that means? Physical endurance becomes a 12. Because I changed my physical endurance, don't forget to also add 2 to your hit points. So I added 2 to my physical endurance, so I add 2 to my hit points. Because we already rolled those. And then speed was what, 6? So that makes my speed a 14. There we go, 14. So 22, 10, 11, 16, 10, 12, 11, 14. Well, that's looking a bit better. Remember, between 10 and 11 is average human. So like I said, I'm still a little tiny slow for your average mutant elk, but hey, how many mutant elks are there out there in the world anyway? Where are we here? Money and equipment. No, there we go. Okay. Well, now, what does the book say? Human features. So the first thing we have to figure out is how human did we become? Now, I have rules at my table of what I expect. I'm not trying to start an argument or anything. I can absolutely understand all of the rationales for all of these features. None, partial, and full. Well, moose, elk, and deer don't have hands. They have hooves. That means they start with none. If you want partial hands, which basically are, like maybe grasping paws a little bit. I can't remember if they have opposable thumbs or not. Doesn't really matter because the game mechanic is that they suffer a penalty when trying to use finesse with their hands. that would cost 5 bio-E points. Remember, we only have 10. So that's half of them right there. If you want full hands, if you want to be a moose with some actual hands and you can use a firearm and you can pick locks or whatever, well, you need full hands. Well, you want full hands. You don't need full hands for that. That would cost you 10 points. That's all of them. That means we get none of these other options here. Well, I'm going to stick to one thing at a time here. We will get to that in a moment. But I'm going to stick to one thing at a time here. And let's look at the other ones. Biped, none is what an elk is. He's on all fours. You don't see elks go on twos and kind of hang around like, hey, what's up, bud? They live their lives on all 4 feet. If you want to be partial biped, that's kind of like a bear. Spends most of his life definitely going to run on all 4, but he can stand up, he can scratch his back, he can look around, and he can clumsily walk on 2 legs as well if he needs to. That's partial. That would cost 5. If you want to stand upright like a human, a true anthropomorphic animal, well then you would need 10. Well, we can't afford that yet. But that's going to be a total of 20 points to get full hands and full biped. They have 10. Next is speech. Right now, elks can't speak. They don't have voice boxes like we do. If you want to be able to speak like Donald Duck or Scooby-Doo or something, you can get partial. And that would cost 5 points. If you want full human speech like what I'm doing to you right now, you need 10 for full. Okay, so that'd be 30 points. And then finally, we have looks. None, basically, you're an elk. You're just an elk. Well, and if you get those other ones, that stands on legs. You could literally have none across the board and just be an elk. You actually can make a character like that. Be weird, but you can do it. You probably really have to have psionics then. There are some psionic powers that you could use to communicate with your team, whatever, but you can do that. Partial is the features are muted. The human features have come out, the elk features have kind of faded, but they're still there, and people can still tell that you're a mutant. You probably can hide it a little better with the right disguises and covering and shadows. And then finally, there is full. Nobody can really tell without close examination that you're a mutant animal. So great for infiltration, great for walking around town and not being, somebody might be like, he's a little weird looking. But nobody's going to be like, that's a walking elk. That is crazy. In my games, I require, and I have history behind it. Again, I'm not trying to start an argument. Mine is based on the history of me running this game, is I require full hands, full biped, and full speech. I also require none looks. There is an argument to be made, absolutely, I already said it, the infiltration side of it, for full. For my purposes in my games, that kind of defeats what I'm going for with what I want to see at the table. So I require full hands, full bipeds, full speech, and none looks. You do you at your table. All these options are available for you. I say this because that means I need to find out. We have 10 points, right? Where's our BioE? Where'd they show that? It's right here. We have 10 points, and we need 30 just for that. Okay, now let's move over. What kind of animal powers can we get? Well, not a lot. For the cost of 5 BioE, we can get some antlers that do a D8 damage. Now, obviously, you have to be male. That kind of makes sense. The other option is I could spend 10 BioE for a D12 antlers. That sounds cool. That's a nice rack up there, right? Do not mount it on your wall. That's mean. If you see the bullet point like this, that means it's either or. You either pay 5 or you pay 10. If you see the bullet point down here like this, for each bullet point, you can pay, so I could have all 3 of these. And we could have night vision. Night vision goes out to, I think, 20 yards. It's kind of a short range, but it's still an invaluable power, especially at night or in dark areas. Advanced smell and advanced taste, which all give you bonuses to your perception depending on what you're trying to do. If you don't want to be poisoned, advanced taste is a good one. Advanced smell can also, can help you maybe find bombs. I mean, we've got dogs that do that, right? But there are they give you various perception skill bonuses. which is what their advantage is. So let's see. Well, again, we don't have points for any of this stuff. So theoretically, if I wanted to be an elk, not mutate anything, it would take my 10 points to get that one awesome rack that some hunter's going to want on his wall. So let's look at what we can do. Well, here's what you can do in this game. We can shrink our size down. Okay? For every point from 17 to 16, 16 to 15, and so on, gives you 5 bio-E points. So we start with 10, and if we look, that can give us the full hands. We're good. We're down to 0 bio-E points, right? But if I want this, I have to shrink 2 levels. So that would bring my size from 17 to 15. Well, I also need full speech. Well, that's going to drop, again, by spending the points this way, that's going to drop my size from 15 to 13. Remember, it's 2 jumps each time, because I need 10 points. 5 points for 1 jump, 10 points for 2 jumps, 15 points for 3 jumps. You see how that's going. So in order to get these 20 points, I have to shrink my size by 4 levels. So that would put me down to 13. Now let's go over here and look at the powers. Could we get all these powers? Absolutely easily. In fact, here's my rule of thumb. I'm going to do something different here because I don't want to make the same type of characters I always make. But my rule of thumb is this. Always drop your size down to 6 as your base. Or raise it to 6 as your base. Whatever, because if you're playing a mouse, you're going to start with size level 1 or 2. You're going to want to raise it up to 6. I'll show you why in just a second. But I always start at a baseline of 6. And then from there, figure it out. Well, I'd have plenty enough to get all of these. And I would be size so we're 13 now. If I get this, that would be 11. If I get these 2, that'd be 9. I could have all these and still be size 8, which is bigger than size 6. That's pretty cool. I could do that. But you know what? I do that. I play these smaller characters all the time. That size level 6, I do that all the time. I'm going to do something a little different and also show that you can have a completely viable character. You don't have to have all of these. I just want that rack. I don't know why. The more we do this character, the more I think, I just want that rack. I want that. Yeah, look at me. Not going to be wearing any hats probably, or they'll be inside the rack, but I want that rack of antlers. All right, so that's another 10. So we were at 13. I need to drop 2 more size levels. So that's size level 11. And I think from there we'll stop. There's really nothing else that I need or want. Again, I kind of want to keep the character big. You absolutely could get all these. Remember, some animals have either really expensive powers, really cool powers. Turtles are a perfect example of that, where you might not have enough points to get everything. This one's pretty simple. Let's look at that size. All right, so here's the size table, and I want to show you this before we move on here, before we actually spend all those points on the character sheet. You'll see here we start at size level 17. Okay, and well, we'll leave it there. If you somehow can make a character a mutant animal size level 17, you'll get all these bonuses. But what we did is we dropped to size level 11. Okay, that's not too bad. Well, we're size level 11. This elk is size level 11, so he's going to get +5 to his strength. See, having the size level is its own power. So for anybody who's like, oh man, I can't believe you didn't take night vision. I don't know, +5 to strength seems pretty good. +3 to physical endurance, that includes hit points. But -1 to speed, we're already slow. But this is what we're gonna do. Before we spend time doing those adjustments, I just want to say here, and yes, this is where the SDC column will come into play, but we'll look at that when we fill out the character sheet, that portion of the character sheet. Right now, what is it we need to put on here? Well, we decided full hands, remember that's 10 points. Full biped, that's also 10 points. And full speech, that's also 10 points. We have no looks, so we spent no points there. And then we got the D12 antlers. What that means is, antler antlers is if I use them to attack, I roll a d12 for damage. A normal punch is a d4. So you do 1 to 4 points of damage. This is a d12. That's potentially 3 times as much. I got some pretty cool antlers. Okay, that's all we need for here. I'm sorry. Our final size level is 11. So we're an elk. Started at 17, moved down to 11. I think the official sheets actually give you a portion to do the math on the character sheet itself. I've just done this so many times in my life. I don't need that. And for me, it just clutters up what I did with the character sheet. But the official ones are great. You can put the math right on the sheet and see how you got to the points that you got to. Our build is medium. We'll look at that in a moment. We started with 10 BioE points. We're down to 0 now. Got those bonuses, full hands, full biped, full speech, no looks, and D12 antlers. That sounds like the character. So let's scroll back up to here. And what did we get for bonuses for being size level 11? Physical strength is 5. So our physical strength just went from 16 to 21. All right. Physical endurance is 3. Don't forget to add the hit points. 15. Oh, we're just shy. Wait a minute. Something's not right about this. Because these should not be equal. Did I mess up somewhere? All right. Well, we have to be male. Because we're a buck. Did I put elk plus? What's elk plus? It's a super elk. Gonna be experience is going to be 0 and level 1. Alignment we won't get to until next. Height, weight we'll get to a little bit later. Disposition, don't care right now. Okay, let's go back to here. The last thing we need to put on, I'm sorry, we have a -1 to speed. So that's going to make it a 13. The dice giveth, size level taketh away. And then we have 40 SDC. This is where SDC first comes in because it's based on your size. So right now, we can take 40 points of damage before the damage starts entering our hit points. And the reason for that is because Palladium games are not simulationist and they're not based in all reality. They're cinematic. It's what you would expect from a movie. And you know what? Movie characters, for some reason, can take a couple of shots or get really lucky when the shot could have killed them and they dodge out of the way just in time and tweak something, whatever. The idea is that it gives you a little more survivability than, say, maybe a normal person because it's cinematic. Always keep that in consideration. If you're a competition shooter and you want bullets to act exactly the way they're supposed to act, this might not be the game for you. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, that's right. We're going to roll our size. So size level 11, weight 200 plus 6d10. Okay, where are all my d10s? I only have 2 d10s, huh? Where are they? I can't even find them. Oh, they're there. So I'm going to roll these 6 dice and add this together. Okay, 32. So 200, I am 232 pounds. Write that down. 232. Oops, we'll just stay there. And then now we have to figure out our height. Remember when we grabbed the build and it was medium? Oh, I wrote it down here. Medium. This is where that comes in now. So let's figure out how tall we are. Which one's 11 again? 11 is the first one, 72. Okay, 72 plus 1d6. So we're 6 foot something. So everybody says 6 foot 4. 64 inches or 6 foot 4. 6 foot 4. Okay. There we go. Now, for my characters, that's pretty big. For the real world, now, does that mean the rack is higher? Yes, the rack is going to go taller than that, but the character's, top of his head is 6 foot 4. Still probably has to duck to get through some doors, though. So that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Is that everything? It looks like everything. We now know, not just, okay, he's smart. but we know that he's a ninja. We know that he's a pretty big guy. He's a pretty big ninja. We know his skills, and we know what actual human traits he has. We got the picture of him, but what we don't have is everything that gives him color, everything that gives him a personality, everything that just rounds out who he is. And we will do that in step 5 when we determine alignment. We pick his skills, and then basically just his equipment, and then basically finish up the character sheet. We're not going to have a lot of equipment because he only has, what, $600? Sorry, it's not after the bomb. $600? So, yeah, we'll take a look at that in segment 5. All right, as I noted earlier, in step 5, that's when we're going to turn this picture into a person, so to speak. We're going to figure out his alignment, we're going to handle his education and skills, deal with his money and equipment, and then we'll experience. That's more for afterplay, so we'll ignore that, but we'll end up completing the character sheet. All those little blanks that we didn't fill in before, we will fill in the very near future. Well, let's start with alignment. Now, here are the alignments: principled, scrupulous, unprincipled, anarchist, miscreant, aberrant, diabolic. I don't allow evil characters in my game, and I don't want to make an evil character. My 2 favorites are unprincipled and scrupulous. And I'm thinking, he's a ninja. Ninjas kind of do some unprincipled actions. I also don't really like anarchists that much, although I could definitely see that in this case. So I'm thinking that our elk is unprincipled. Now, this is the good side of selfish, where this is more the evil side of selfish. They're both more individualistic than they are overtly evil or overtly good. But unprincipled, yeah, he's a good guy, but yeah, he's just maybe a little selfish, maybe a little libertarian, for lack of a better word. Where the anarchist is like, you know what, freedom at all costs, baby. But we'll see what that means in just a second. I'm not going to read all of these, but we are going to look at unprincipled. Let me get it on my character sheet first. If I can spell it right. No. I hope that's right. Not giving me a big red line, so it looks like it's right. So what is unprincipled? Scrupulous, selfish alignments, unprincipled. I'm not going to read this whole paragraph. Does it give an example here? Like a lot of the old Palladium games used to give examples of like Han Solo or Clint Eastwood or... Oh, okay. Well, let's go to the important part here. This is what an unprincipled character will do and will not do. Now, here's the thing. Every character can have a bad day. Every character can find reasons to occasionally play out of the alignment. It's more notable when they dip into the evil side versus when they dip into the good side. But generally speaking, it's okay. You don't have to look this up every single time you're about to do something. But it is a great guideline and should meet the 80, if not 90% solution for how your character acts in a situation. And if you don't do that, your game master might start changing your alignment on you. So, unprincipled characters will keep their word of honor. Okay. They will lie and cheat if necessary, especially those of anarchist and evil alignment. Now, what's the difference? Wait a minute, you said you'd keep your word of honor, but now you lie and cheat? Word of honor in this case means I promise to do this. I give you my word I will do this. An unprincipled character gives his word, going to do it. At least to the best of his ability. Lie and cheat, that isn't about I gave you my word. That's just about, any normal event. You know what? He's evil. I don't care if he doesn't like the fact that I lied to him. I don't care. He's evil. He deserves it. Unprincipled characters will not harm or will never harm an innocent. I think that should read will never intentionally harm an innocent, because I've actually seen a fight at a table over that. But that's the idea behind it. You are not going to do things through gross negligence or through direct action that will harm an innocent. You're still leaning towards the good guy, even if you're a bit selfish. You will not use torture unless absolutely necessary. Never kill for pleasure. Will attempt to bring the villain to justice alive or ruin him in other ways. Usually help those in need. Now, this isn't about every granny that needs help across the street. This is, what you can do at that time. I mean, hey, if there's nothing else going on, why not help that granny across the street? But if you've got bigger fish to fry, go fry those bigger fish. But the idea is helping folks. You're generally a good guy. Oops, I can leave that there. Rarely attempt to work within the law. This doesn't mean you intentionally like, is this what the law says? Oh, I want to do the opposite. It just means you don't even consider it. Who cares? Who cares if the law is there or not? That guy needs to go down, and I'm going to do it any way possible. And if that means I have to kick down his door, break and enter into his house, beat him up a little bit, and throw him at the police department, that's what I'll do. You know you broke the law? Whatever. Here you go. I got the bad guy. It's just not even a consideration is the way to take that. Blatantly break the law to achieve their crime-busting goal. That just piggybacks on what I said above, so there we go. Dislike and distrust authority, the law and bureaucracy, feel they've been corrupted and abused. Yeah, it's that whole idea that every politician is bought and paid for. The police, they have their quotas. That's the only reason that they pulled you over. It's almost sovereign citizen type stuff here. But yeah, you tend not to handle authority well, and definitely don't like being told what to do. You just want to live your life and live it the way you want to live it, as long as you're not hurting anybody in the process. Do what thou wilt, harm none, right? Work with groups, especially if it serves his needs, or is profitable, or they're in the limelight. So what this is telling you here is you can work within groups. You're not a crazy man. You're not there to sow dissension everywhere. You can work within groups. You distrust authority, you distrust law enforcement, maybe the government, politicians, maybe officers if you're in the military, but you absolutely can work within groups. You're a decent human being, and you know what it sometimes takes team to get a job done. You'll take dirty money. You don't care. Ends justifies the means in this one. And if using dirty money helps put criminals away, why wouldn't I take it, right? Never betray a friend. Remember, you're still a good guy. You don't have a reason to betray a friend. Not gonna turn him in. Now, of course, if your friend, what happens if your friend breaks the law? Do you turn him in? Do you not turn him in? I think it depends on how heinous it is. But you're not going to betray him. It goes back to number one. You're going to keep your word of honor, and you're not going to betray him. Like, hey, here's $10,000 to look the other way. Well, maybe we have to rough up your friend, and if he gets in the way, maybe something worse will happen. No, you wouldn't do that. And a high regard for life and freedom. And I think that just sums up 1 through 13 there. You're generally a good person, but life and freedom are of equal value to you. So I think that fits this character. He can be a good ninja doing this. I don't have to kill everything. Of course, they try to kill me. All bets are off, right? So there we go. That's our unprincipled alignment. What is next? I think it's skills and education. Yeah, skills and education. Okie dokie. So we know what some of our skills are. Let's go back to the character sheet here. So we have acrobatics, we have climbing, we have prowl. We know we get 3 more under, was it military and espionage? I'll have to look that up again. And then we get 10 over here as amateur skills. Well, I'm not going to bore you with paging through the book and figuring out, do I want this skill? Do I want that skill? We'll talk, actually, I'm going to show you a couple of skills first. And then I'm going to fast forward through the skill selection. I'll come back after we take the skills. But let's take a look at a couple real quickly here. Common skills. The most rudimentary skills are learned through everyday living and are known by all characters, even if not listed in the stats. So every character gets basic academics, basic athletics, and perception. And the way I drew it up here is because it says, and I'll show you that in a second, that you get your education bonus. I just put basic academics over on the professional side. There's really no rhyme or reason for that. Plus, I wanted to balance this out a little better. Basic athletics and perception are here. So I put them on the character sheet already with their base percentages. Because this one says add the character's education bonus in right there. Okay. Basic academics measures the ability to count, do simple math, and speak. Read native language, usually the common local language. Also includes basic understanding history, geography, pop culture, simple social or scientific concepts. This is rudimentary stuff like fire hot, fire burn. Basic athletics, the ability to climb, prowl, swim, balance, etc. without formal physical training. So, this does not count towards the prowl you need towards ninjutsu. This just means everybody has basically a 25% chance to do it. Your kid brother can sneak through the house. And according to the game, if he's level 1, with a 25% chance. Okay? There are some things that they're just everybody can try them even if they don't have the percentage. That's why you'll notice that if you actually get the skill, the percentages are much higher. And then finally, there's perception. Ability to use the 5 senses: vision, hearing, smell, touch, and taste. This goes back to the animal powers. The animal powers, I think, usually give a 20% bonus to this when using that sense. So to notice something includes situational awareness, threat detection, and attention to detail, searching a room, standing watch, etc. Advanced senses provide a bonus, as it says here. So, and that's a 40% chance. You have a 40% chance of noticing something out of place or odd. What I wanted to state, though, is those are 3 new skills that I do have on the character sheet already. Is it the right spot? Yep. Okay. So, then we have professional skills, are learned by formal education via skill program like high school, college, military, or on-the-job training. Since we were taught by a mentor, that was basically on-the-job training. And we're going to figure out what these other 3 skills are. I kind of want to delete those right now. They're annoying me. 3 spaces is good enough. We'll figure out what they are in a bit. But those are the professional skills. And then amateur skills are learned and developed on one's own through observation, practice, hobby, and self-education. Hey, we all got hobbies that we do on the side, right? Probably plenty of things you don't even realize you know how to do. If not at a professional level, at still a capable level. And those are amateur skills. And then you have the education bonus. I'm again not going to read through all of this. It's one time applied to basic academics. Professional skills, it says do not add this bonus to amateur skills. We're the one exception to that because it literally said in the description, add it to the amateur skills. So there we go. We're going to do that. And then it's got some restrictions of espionage and military combat training and repeating skills that you can read on your own. So now with that, here's the skill list. Really good job that with a couple of oopsies, all of the skills have their base percentages starting right here. And you'll notice, let's look at communications. Communications as a professional, there are eight skills you can take from the communications category. But as amateur skills, there are only 2, language and radio. But if you want to know how to handle optic systems, yeah, you're gonna have to learn that. So every skill is here for the professional. The amateur skill list is smaller. So when it comes to those 10 amateur skills, I can only pick from this list right here. That's it. Okay. With that said, I am now going to pick the skills, get them on the character sheet. I will be back, and then we'll read through some of the skills, not all of them, and explain the character a little bit more at that time. So I'll see you in, I don't know, half hour. All right, we're back with our skill list. I'll say completed. It's basically completed. We're going to take a look at the skills. Again, not necessarily all of them, but there are a few I definitely want to highlight for a couple of reasons. So this is what I did. We already knew that I had acrobatics, climbing, and prowl, right? And here are the percentages. Now, let's look at where I got these percentages from. Well, acrobatics is going to come with acrobatics. By the way, I did not... Hopefully I remember to do this later. All I did was pick the skills and get their percentages. I did not add their bonuses yet to the attributes. I want to kind of walk through that with you. Let me make sure my notes are right there. Yes, sir. Walk through that with you. So let's look at acrobatics. All right, so here's our acrobatic skill. It says aerial feats of agility and strength, such as walking a tightrope, high wire, trapeze, and stunts performed above the ground. Other physical abilities include rolls, somersaults, leaps, and falls. Provides the following abilities. Balancing walk, tightrope, or high wire at 50 plus 5. So that means 50% base plus 5 per level. So that's 50 plus 5. Why isn't it higher? Because we don't get an education bonus. Longtime Palladium fans who knows there's something I'm missing right now, stand by. We also have jump, flip, or tumble. 50% plus 5. And I put the +5. TMNT, I think every skill in TMNT is +5. It's just an old Palladium habit because in a lot of different Palladium games, they could be +5, +2, +3, +4, whatever. I think in TMNT, they've all been simplified to +5. I actually like the +2s, 3s, and 4s, to be fair, because otherwise I just kind of look at this and say, why don't we roll a D20? And I find the D20 boring. So, +5 to prowl and climbing checks. Okay, well, we have prowl. Let's take a look at that. Did I add that in already? Well, let's come back to that. Let's stick with this. +2 to roll with impact, which I will put on the character sheet now. I intentionally didn't do any of the combat stuff because I kind of wanted to show you that. So we have +2 to roll with impact, +1 to physical prowess, physical endurance, and 1d6 to SDC. Okay, why am I scrolling there? We need to go to here. So what was that again? Physical prowess, physical endurance, DC. So physical prowess now becomes an 11. Woohoo! Physical endurance becomes a 16, which also raises our hit point by 1. And then what was that last one? SDC. So we roll a D6 for that. And I got a 4. So we now have 44 and 17. So 44 SDC and then 17 hit points. You can take 44 points of damage before things become serious. Well, more serious. Let's go back to and can jump further than normal. See the movement section. For now, I'm gonna put that under character notes. What I have is like other notes right there. All right, so here we are in the movement section of the book. And if you look down here, I got a little highlighted section there. It says move action jumping. Instead of traversing terrain as basic move action, a character can jump up to 2 yards from a standing position or 4 yards with a running start. Those with the acrobatics or gymnastics skill can jump 50% further or twice as far with both. What that means is if you have just one, acrobatics or gymnastics, you can jump 50% further, which would be 3 yards and 6 yards. If you have both acrobatics and gymnastics, it doubles where you get 4 and 8. So we only have one. We only have acrobatics. So that means our jumping distance is now a 3 and 6 with a running start. Actually, I want to put that on the character sheet now. So let's just put this jump 3 yards /6. Does that fit? Yep. 3 yards or 6 yards. There. So that's a note that if that needs to come up at some point later, it's on the character sheet. Okay, so that does that take care of acrobatics for us? Let's go back to, I already forgot what page we were on. We'll just guess 60. Oh yeah, it was 60. Yeah, that's everything there. So I added the +2 to roll with impact. We'll talk about that in the third video when we talk about combat. I'm not going to get into that now. But I did add that bonus on my character sheet already. So that's acrobatics. What's next? Well, we have climbing. I definitely want to show climbing. You see I have a little slash on that one? A little separator. There's a reason for that. So let's go to climbing. I think that's also a physical skill. Is it not? Climbing, yeah, there it is right there, same page. Okay. Knowledge of the tools and techniques. Roll once for every 5 yards, meters, vertical climb, blah, blah. 50%. But this one also has rappelling. So that's why I noticed that rappelling starts at 20% lower than climbing, so I just add that on there. And it tells you what happens if you fail. And here's the fun part. We get +1 to strength, +1 to physical endurance, and another D6 to SDC. So, strength, takes a little strength to get up those rope ladders, or the climb those mountains. It's physical endurance, right? I'll look over here. I know I already said it. Yep. +1 to physical endurance. Yep, that makes it 17. The other one was SDC. Okay, let's go down here and let's roll our dice. 6. 50. All right, there we go. So now we're at 17 hit points. Oh, no, we're at 18 hit points. See, almost forgot that. Almost forgot that. 18 hit points, 50 SDC. Excellent. Okay. And then, let's see. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, we have Prowl. Let's look at Prowl. Prowl is an important one. And that's also... Well, okay, that's 50 plus 5. That isn't what I was looking for. I'm sorry. So that's 50 plus 5. Now, why does it say 55? Wait a second here. It says 50 in the book, and you put 55. You read Acrobatics plus 5 to Prowl and Climb checks. So both Climb and Prowl got a plus 5 bonus. We look at Climb, it's 50% and 30, but on my character sheet, it's 55 and 35. I added in the plus 5 already for having Acrobatics. We have Escape Artist. So this is what I decided with my skills. I said, man, he lives on the frontier of Alaska. I've seen the movie Misery. I want to get away. So I gave him Escape Artist. I thought that would be a good one. So if for whatever reason he does get captured, he has the opportunity to try to leave. He's a big guy. So I was like, you know what? We get military and in espionage skills. Let's take interrogation. And then finally, I just took demolitions. Like, why not? I'm going to be the guy that sneaks into places. I don't see him as like an eco-terrorist or something like that, but just as an example, you know what? We find those people that want to build the parking lot over our forest. Well, I'm going to go in and blow it up. So, and I got the ninja skills to do it. So there we go. But demolitions has an issue. So let's look at that. Oh, I put this out of order. Should put demolitions first. It's just a pet peeve of mine. I do that for my own self where I put them in order that you find them in the book. So mechanical, it's military. There's military. Demolitions. Demolitions has a requirement. According to this, it has 2 requirements. I want to be very clear when I say this. This is one of those areas that may or may not be errated out. Stay tuned. The book right now says you must have chemistry and basic mathematics. For my purposes here, I'm going to remove the chemistry. Like I said, I've talked with Sean Robertson about this. He's considering that. I don't know what I don't work for Palladium. So, may got a little overzealous with the chemistry here, just knowing how to, set bombs, so to speak. Maybe for making them, yeah. But the point is I'm going to go as if the errata is real because otherwise I couldn't have this skill at all. Basic math, you'll see that I did take in my amateur skill. So I do have basic math, and that's staying. At least that's my understanding anyways. Basic math is still staying. So we have a 50% chance. And what do we have here? Demolitions, 50% chance. There we go. And then I took weapon proficiency, knife, spear, and staff. Now these percentages probably don't mean much to most people. This is to maintain and keep, maybe remove a ding or a dent or something from it. It's just basic repairs and maintenance of your weapon. So keeping it in good condition. So that's why that's there. But notably, knife, spear, and staff are all ancient weapons. And I have ancient weapons here. Now, I don't have one picked yet. We haven't selected equipment. So I'm just going to put knife. And what I do is I just put in brackets like that. That's just how I know that, hey, it's a generic weapon. But I do this. You might think this is overkill. Oops. Because you don't have the weapons yet. But I do this so that when I get the weapon, I'm ready to go. Weapon proficiencies give a +1 to strike and parry at first level. Ancient weapons. So knife is ancient. We're not talking firearms here. We're talking ancient weapon proficiencies. So knife, spear, and staff will all have +1 bonuses to strike and to parry. And if you want to know where I got that information, let's take a look. It's in the book, right here in weapon proficiencies. Booyah. There it is. +1 to strike and parry at level 1. And this will combine with any other bonuses that I get from physical prowess and my hand-to-hand skill, which we haven't put in here yet. Okay, so now that those are done, all right, so here we are at the running skill. We get, with running, because I was too slow and I wanted to be faster, we get +2 to physical endurance, +44 to speed, and +1d6 to our SDC again. That speed is going to be nice. I hopefully won't be so slow anymore. But first things first, let's add +2 to our physical endurance. That makes that a 19. And then, of course, if you add +2 there, you got to add +2 to your hit points. That's 20. Okay. And then 4d4 to speed. Now, I only have 2 d4s sitting in front of me here. Where is it? One. There's the other. 6. And a 3. Okay. So that's a total of 9. We can add 9 to the speed. That's going to make it a 22. Now we're fast. Take that. Okay. And we'll see what all that means at the end. And finally, we add 1d6 to SDC. So let me roll that d6. And I got a 4. All right. Look at that. 54 and 20. Okay. So that's running. And then I took wrestling. The reason I took wrestling is because if I'm kind of a good guy, I want the ability to subdue people without having to kill them. And wrestling is great for that. First of all, critical strike with an unarmed melee attack. Character automatically gets a hold on the opponent. There we go. Crit with unarmed attack, including a throw. Auto hold the opponent. There we go. That's a good enough note. So we have that critical note in there as well. And I might rewrite that later, but you get the idea for that. So that's awesome. Auto hold on a natural 20. Excellent. But what else do I get? I get the throw attack. So it's throw attack. Put that other under combat. Gain this attack action and deal +2 damage when using it. So if I chuck you around a little bit, I throw you harder. And finally, the crush attack. The Crushinator. And that's going to be too long for one. I'm not going to spend the time to fix this one now. Put that there. So as an action, the wrestler deals +4 unarmed damage to an opponent in a hold. So if I get this hold, either automatically or I declare it, I can then do +4 damage to an opponent. And he cannot parry or dodge it because he's held. And then I get +1 to roll with punch impact. Well, let's add another +1 here. That now makes it 3. I get +1 to pull punch. What pull punch is that's not doing full damage when you actually, punch somebody. It's like when you're punching your kid brother. You weren't trying to actually knock him out. But sometimes you slip and go, oops, and you hurt him. And then we get +1 to physical strength, physical endurance, and SD. Physical strength is now 23. Physical endurance is now 20, which makes hit points 21. And then D12 to SDC. Where's my D12? I have a D12 here somewhere. Is that a D12? Nope. Is that a D12? Yes. And I get a 9. So 54, 63. And now we're talking. I can take quite a few hits now. And that's because of wrestling. By the way, navigation also has the prerequisite of basic mathematics. You're going to find that in this the Redux version of the game, that basic mathematics is going to be a skill you're going to want for almost every character. There are some exceptions, but many, many skills require basic mathematics. So you're going to want that. So there we go. I can live I got wilderness survival, so effectively I can live in the Alaska hinterlands on my own. If I need to, I can bust into somebody's house. I can fish, I can cook. Wilderness survival, so I can find the food. First aid, if I trip and break a hoof or an ankle, whatever, I can hopefully splint it. Run, swim. That water is cold, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I got fur. wrestling basic mathematics, and I can navigate up there. I think that these are pretty good. It's like my mentor taught me how to fight, and I taught myself how to survive. And that's generally it. So the only thing we have left to do now is equipment. Well, there's two things, equipment and then finishing up the character sheet. And if you remember, we had $600. That's not a lot. Now, this book does a really good job of keeping things simple, but giving you this note. Additional weapons and equipment can be found in other Palladium Book role-playing game source book. They've got the Compendium of Modern or Contemporary Weapons. You can get stuff from Ninjas and Super Spies. You can get stuff from Heroes Unlimited. So this is not a complete list of equipment. Also, I noticed that it didn't look like he changed the money, which is good, which is actually good. Because even though it might not be true for today's money, it's going to be compatible with those other games. So you can just go to Ninjas and Super Spies and see that something costs like, oh, that's $100. It's still going to be $100 here. So, but it's got a few weapons in here. Oh, you know what? No, hold on. I should actually do this. We have ninjutsu. I'm surprised I forgot about this. I'm glad I scrolled up. We get gain automatic parry. Now that's, to be fair, everybody with a combat skill gets it. Really, that's just saying, hey, you've got a combat skill. So but +4 to roll with impact. Didn't we already have +3? A combat? Yeah, we already have +3. So now we have +7 to roll with impact. You know, if we start falling from high locations, or if for whatever reason you got to essentially do a tuck and roll. If you take damage from certain types of attacks, it's only certain types of attacks, but somebody's punching you in the face, you can roll with that, especially if it's a really hard punch. And it doesn't stop the damage, but it lessens the damage, and you get a +7 to that roll. So probably going to work unless he's got a really crazy bonus to strike as well. I mostly use it for preventing falling damage or lowering. There we go, falling damage. But we're gonna go back down here now. And that's all you get at first level. All these other ones will come at second level. And it's cumulative. So if it says +3 to parry dodge and +3 to strike, well, the next time you get, here you go, +2 to parry and dodge, that's a +5 total just based on your... So these all stack together. Now we go to equipment. I am going to... We only have $600. It probably won't take me long to do this. But because it's only $600, I'm going to be pretty picky about what I buy. So what I'm going to do is I'm once again going to step away. I'm going to buy the equipment, and I will be back when the equipment is bought. All right, there we go. We are back now. I have bought my equipment. And as you can see, I went with a theme. He's got a knife and a bow staff, and I will put that up in the information. I want to do all this on the video for you. I didn't just fill it in. We have a knife and a bow staff. And then I've got flannel shirts, got some jeans, boots, leather hiking boots, and then I put a hat, flannel trapper, and I just paid $20 for it based on the hat that was given in the book there. Seemed like a fair price. Went to Amazon and actually looked at the price of what those hats cost now, and $20 is a fair price, if even a little high. Since the knife was a range, I just rolled a D10 and said that's how much it cost, that plus 30 and plus 20, sorry, and said that's how much it cost for that. So I could have just picked the lowest number, probably should have, but since it gave a range, I just rolled the die. Now, what we want to do is we want to go up and look at the knife and the bow staff real quickly. Knife, daggers and knives. So if I scroll over here, hopefully I can fit this on the screen. Yeah, you'll see that the knife is a D6 damage. So I'll just put knife. I don't really care to say what type of knife it is. And then damage is D6. And then the bow staff right here is 1D8. That's not a spear. I couldn't afford a spear. I probably could, but I wasn't going to. I wanted a little bit of money just in case. Oops. God. Bow staff. And 1D8. Okay, we are almost done. As far as the rest of the equipment goes, I said it's just that shirt, whatever. At this point, it's going to be up to the team and the game master to help me integrate in terms of like, hey, you might need something else. Here, have a loan or something. But this is what I start. Maybe my character just feels like I'm self-sufficient enough. I don't even have a fishing pole, you know. So yeah, I probably will need some money. Maybe do an odd job or something to get some money. But as long as it's not killing an innocent, I might be able to do that. So let's go back up to the top here. And we have some things to finish up, and then we will end up rounding out the character. I'm not going to fill in the description and disposition of the character. I'll save that for, when I go to play. I don't know why I thought of a name while I was picking equipment for some reason. I felt like after all his red and black flannel, his name should be Eddie. Eddie the Elk. I can always change that. Age, I don't know. He should be able to drink. 21. There we go. Now, we need to finish all this other stuff because it's still going to affect a couple of things. So we need to go in and find out what does an IQ of 22 means. This is probably the one that people who know the game are screaming at me the most about. Like, oh my God, hurry up. I didn't forget. We're going to add it in right now. So what is the intelligence? IQ is 22. Here's our table that we're going to be going off of. An IQ of 22 gives me a plus 8% to all skills. All of them. So I get to go down this list and go 38. Okay, I've gone through and I've added 8% to all of these abilities or these skills here. So that's the bonus for having a high IQ, for having a 220 IQ. So while I'm broke, I'm pretty smart. I hopefully can figure out how to earn some money. So that's plus 8% to all skills. Excellent. ME doesn't give anything. Remember, it's 16 or higher. That's where this starts. So what's our next one? Physical strength of 23. So we go under the physical strength column down here. Oh yeah, plus 8 to damage. Now, before we do the rest of it, let's get that written up right away. So that's going to be for all of this. Damage bonus is plus 8. Guess what that means for my knife? D6 plus 8. What it means for my bow staff? A D8 plus 8. It's like having a max roll every time plus more. So there we go. That's awesome. Actions. 2 actions. There were no bonus actions when we looked at ninjutsu, and anytime you take a combat hand-to-hand, you get 2 actions per round. And initiative, I have no bonus for initiative, and currently I have no bonus to strike. Okay, physical prowess is 11, so still no bonus to strike. Physical endurance is a 20, so this raises our chances of survival a little bit. Plus 10% to save versus coma death, and plus 3 versus bonus save versus toxins and magic. Now, I do things a little weird on my character sheet. I'm not going to do it here to confuse folks. It's plus 10%. I calculate saving throws a little differently. So what I do is I find the base, and then I subtract that 3 from the target number here. The problem with that is Palladium changes the numbers around, so it's probably not a smart idea for me to do that and just use this as a guideline. That's what I suggest to you. It's just an old habit that when we get to the end of the character creation and I do finish that up, we'll see how I decide to do it there. However you do it, whether you just copy down the base numbers and remember to add a plus 3, that's on you. Or if you do it my way, which could be a little more confusing where you actually change the numbers on there, but then you might forget this if the numbers are different and the Game Master gives you a different number. Again, that's going to be on you. Move action, 22. Now, this is new to this version of Palladium. 22, I move 6 tabletop inches. I do Theater of the Mind, so I don't even have that option on my character sheet. But move action is 12 yards per action. Now, you might say that doesn't match how many yards you can move in a round. Right. There's a newer rule in the game that we'll probably talk about during the combat section that says this is how far you can move with an action. I think it's with still using other abilities. Does it say it here? 1 combat round. No, it doesn't say anything there. It's probably going to be in the combat section. I know I saw something similar to that. I don't have it memorized right now, but I don't want to lie. So we'll just wait till the combat section and tell you exactly what it means. Just know that it is new to the game. But we take that 22, multiply it by 5. Can I do that? 22 times 5. That's 110 yards per round. So in 15 seconds, he can run 110 yards. And then yards per minute will be times 5, or times 20. So it'll be 440 yards per minute. Carry weight. Let's go back to strength. I'm sorry, I should have done this at time. I just noticed it. Let's go to our carry weight. Our strength is what? A 23. So that's going to have some special rules to it. So, character can lift 30 times. Strong characters of 15. Nope, we're at 23. Here we go. Physical strength of 20 to 23 can carry 30 times and lift 60 times. 690 pounds there. But I can lift 1,380. Now, if you remember when we started this episode, we talked that physical endurance says how long you can do that, blah, blah, blah. We're not getting into all of that. This is the important part here. Let us now start at the top of the character sheet and make sure every important line is filled in. That we didn't miss anything, because I'm prone to missing stuff. Looks like all the names, everything is in here. Okay, not going to do the disposition. All of his exceptional attributes are in here. Okay, there we go. Got SDC and hit points. We did his skills. Hopefully I did them right. Notice I did not change these with education bonus. Let's verify one more time. I don't think that they're supposed to, because it says it only for the one. Let's go to skills. I think it's page 56. Nope, it's for that. All right. So it says known by all characters. It says only for basic. The special bonus, add the character's education bonus, only for basic academics. It doesn't say it for anything else. Okay. And we did add the +5s over here for amateurs. Okay. Combat, ninjutsu, actions too. Like I said, I apologize. Let me show you that now, since it is important. This is a character creation video, how to. Let me show you where I got that from. Combat training. All characters, even those without combat training, have 2 actions per round. That's right. That is a change for the new Palladium, we'll call it, or TMNT. So everybody has 2. And notice that with ninjutsu, I don't get any additional. So I still have 2, but I get auto parry and I get a few other abilities. Most of them are just going to come with leveling up. So, but we're only level 1, so we get auto parry and +4 to roll with impact, which I know is written on the page. Okay. I'll go back to the character sheet here. We know that 20 does double damage. That should be up here. Critical strike on opponents, natural 20 doubles damage. I don't have any bonuses to dodge, parry. I could probably just delete that 0. I have no bonuses, dodge and parry or strike. Oh well. But if I hit you, it's gonna hurt. Got our knife, our bow staff. We didn't buy a spear, but it's ready to go in case I do. Actually, I may as well even just do that. Modern weapons, I don't have any. Ew, how gross. Accidental encounter, adopted by a mentor. Filled all this out before. So if anybody wants to see what I purchased, there it is. Saving throws, okay. That is right. We will look at the saving throws. I think what I'm going to do to not confuse you is just do it I guess what you'd call the right way, not my way. There we go. And we're just going to put them in here as is, because these numbers honestly can change. These are more ballpark numbers than they are actual numbers. I guess psionics and magic is more spot on, but so 14 and 16 for poisons. A little easier to save versus lethal poisons than non-lethal poisons. Okay. Harmful drugs, 15, but also varies with potency. I would consider that a toxin, so I would give the +3 bonus to the roll for that. Magic is, where is it? 12 or 16 if you're going against. Now, this is the interesting thing. Gotta be careful with this. Magic, this is who's casting the spell upon you. If it's an apprentice casting the spell on you, it's a 12. If It's a master's casting a spell on you. It's a 16. And that'll become a reason why I say that is just a moment when we get to psionics. Acids, like this has always been in Palladium. I find this hilarious. No saving throw, just dodge. Got it. Psionics, 15 or higher for non-psychics, 10 or higher for psychics. This is for who attacks you. This is for who you are. Well, our character is not a psychic. It's 15. I would have preferred a little more consistency there, but that's fine. It makes sense for all of us Palladium folks. And then strangeness. I don't even know what this means. I'm going to have to find out as we go through this book what strangeness means. But it's a 12 or higher. Because it's not horror factor, is it? Because horror factor is its own thing. So I don't know what strangeness is, but we now have a saving throw of 12 versus strangeness. I mean, it is TMNT and Other Strangeness, right? There we go. Money and equipment, I have $120, and that's my equipment. There you go. That's the character. That is done, and I don't spot any glaring mistakes that I made right now. So there we go. That is the character creation process, step by step for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness Redux Edition for making one character. It's only 5 steps, but it's really got a lot of steps to it, right? But look at this. We're ready to play this character. You don't even have to go and pull out a book to figure out what it is that you're doing. Everything is right here. Hey, roll to strike. Okay, we'll have a +0. You roll your d20. Booyah. You don't need to go digging through stuff. Hey, what's your critical? Oh, well, according to this, I'm using an unarmed attack. I ought to hold the opponent. Perfect. Okay, there we go. That is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness Redux Edition step-by-step character creation process. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the video, please mash nay sir, mutate that like button, subscribe to the channel for more tabletop RPG content, and share this video with anyone you think it can help. Old players, new players, people coming back to the game, first time experiencing the game. This will be a great way to show them the character creation process and maybe answer some of those questions that they have. In the next video, we're going to make team characters. So I look forward to bringing that to you next time. I hope you have a great day. I look forward to talking to you again.